Red Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get a unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 112 of the Red Podcast. So, a lot has been going on, first of all. It has been a crazy week in wrestling, especially if you're just concentrating on AEW and WWE. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot going on with all the other promotions, but right now it's just like so much damn wrestling going on between these two promotions, it will make your head spin. First of all, the biggest piece of news is the WWE releases that has happened. Very shocking. Some names are pretty shocking. Some were not as shocking. Of course, the biggest name that was released was Braun Strowman. A lot of people out there are suddenly Braun Strowman fans. You may probably remember during the pandemic when there was and a lot of independent wrestlers didn't really have a lot of shows going on because of the pandemic. He said something along the lines of, get a job type of situation. And now he is on pretty much the flip side of it. I am shocked that he got released. He was re-signed to a 4-year contract back in 2019. And then on top of that, he has been in the title picture. Most recently fighting for the the WWE Championship. So pretty shocked about it. But from what I've read, it's the fact that his contract was a lot of money. And so they decided to let him go due to budget cuts. But I figured that, I figured Braun Strowman was pretty favored with Vince McMahon and all his people. So I figured that maybe they would have renegotiated the contract or something. I am interested to see what Braun Strowman is going to do from here. If he's going to, I highly doubt he's going to go to another promotion, but I guess he's going to go to maybe the strongman competitions or, something along those lines. But we'll see what happens. Another name that was released was Lana. Of course, she is the wife of Miro, who is in AEW, so I'm sure people are going to assume that she's going to go over to AEW. She was getting more TV time with her at teaming up with Naomi, especially in the last couple of months. And I figured that she would be used more, especially the fact that WWE doesn't really have that much of a tag team division now with some of these releases, because the other person who got released was Ruby Riott, which is she hasn't been doing a lot more in the past couple of months, but I figured with them trying to work on this tag team division, her teaming up with Liv Morgan, and I was really hoping that they would win tag team titles eventually, but apparently Ruby Riott has been let go. I feel bad for Liv Morgan. There is no more Riott Squad. She is the last one left. I don't know what they're going to do with her. I feel like if there's going to be another, list of budget cuts, she's going to be right along with them, which is really a shame because it's so much promise with some of these wrestlers, but it's just a shame that WWE just either doesn't have anything for them or they just need to figure out their money. Of course, there's a lot of people who feel as though there's more to the story, that WWE is being sold, things like that. And in my opinion, I highly doubt that. If WWE is trying to be sold, if the McMahons are trying to sell WWE, normally you want to make sure that the company is about as profitable as possible. You wouldn't let go a lot of these big names if you're about to sell the company. I think that they realize that with them trying to sign people to a monster deal, especially with the fact that there was that bit of pressure with AEW right there, that WWE sitting there signing people for more than what they should have, with the case with Braun Strowman, and with AJ Styles too. I forgot how much his contract was, but I heard that he got a lot of money with WWE because they were trying to stop him from going to AEW. Another name that really isn't that surprising is Aleister Black. It's not surprising to me. It was surprising to other people because he was just getting started in a feud with Big E. There was a lot of vignettes of him with this dark side character, and then he started randomly attacking Big E. So it was that bit of a promise that we were going to get that type of feud. And then, there was the rumor that WWE just allegedly re-signed Zelina Vega, which is starting to sound like that wasn't, actually true. But now Aleister Black is now let go. I like Aleister Black. I knew as soon as he got on the main roster, I knew it wasn't going to be a good thing. I liked Aleister Black, especially in NXT. But when they started bringing him up and they started doing them cricket sounds with his entrance, especially when he started getting teamed up with Ricochet and all that other stuff, it just felt like they really didn't have much for him to do, especially when they had him sitting in the room asking people to knock on his door. But I was a little more intrigued with this new gimmick that they had him doing. A lot of people assumed that he was going to be involved with the storyline with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. That's now, dead in the water. We don't know now what's going to happen as far as with that. We do know as far as with that storyline, Bray Wyatt has taken time off because he's still, grieving for Brody Lee, and I believe they just had another baby. I'm not 100% sure. Not him and JoJo just had another baby, I believe. So, him taking time to spend with family. Another name that's not that surprising, Buddy Murphy. He has been publicly asking for his release ever since they killed off the storyline with him, Seth Rollins, and the Mysterios. He finally got his release, so I wish him all the luck. Hopefully he'll find a home somewhere else where he will be used a lot more often. And the last name that was released was NXT Santana Garrett. And I do remember her. She wasn't used on TV that often. She was just called up to the main roster. She was a bit on a losing streak on TV, but I did like her look. I felt as though there was some promise there. But that's that. But I am completely shocked that Braun Strowman was let go, because I thought that, WWE would definitely use him. He definitely has the type of look that Vince McMahon loves to promote. So, it is what it is. But I'm not going to sit here and, cry tears or anything like that. It is a business. People get let go. People get laid off a lot of times. And a lot of people are confused with, the thing with WWE is WWE has very good talent, but they just don't know how to use the talent. And I said this before, one of the biggest things that I love about the Attitude Era was the creative freedom that the wrestlers had. When you have creative freedom for the type of gimmick you want to be, you're more connected to it. The storylines are more better. The promos are more authentic. And I feel like with a lot of the talent, their gimmicks and everything like that is being forced upon them. And with a lot of people, there are gimmicks that just doesn't connect. And once, someone turns heel or at least get a little bit of a say-so of what they want to do, it creates magic. I mean, prime example is The New Day. The New Day, I don't know if you remember, years and years and years and years ago, they were actually a group of preachers. I remember being pissed off at seeing those vignettes. They were supposed to be a bunch of preachers, and they were speaking, the power of positivity, and everyone hated it because it's like, this isn't, like I said in the past episodes, fans today, they want a gimmick that is authentic, relatable, realistic, not the Ultimate Warriors, the Hulk Hogans, and the Undertakers of yesterday. Doesn't really work with today. Bray Wyatt is an exception because of the fans really loving Bray Wyatt and the person behind Bray Wyatt. And the fact that people are just, because we are now entering the stage where there is no longer an Undertaker after 30 years, people are trying to kind of hold on to that nostalgia. And that's what I feel the reason why Bray Wyatt is popular. But with the New Day, it wasn't working. And then once they turned around and decided to make it into something, they turned heel. They started being smartasses. They were having fun with it and everything. Once they started to do that, people started liking them. And they started to, have fun with it. And, and now look what they are today. So, yeah, pretty surprising story. But, it is what it is. So going to AEW, we have Double or Nothing. And I always put a higher standard with AEW than I do with WWE, because I always say, you make people pay $50, you better put on a good show. I don't really put too much hype on WWE because, let's be honest, we're paying $6. A meal at McDonald's is going to taste a lot different than steak at Outback or whatever. So I was really hoping that we would get a good show at Double or Nothing, and it was a good show. The biggest thing, my goodness, a live crowd, a full live crowd. I applaud every single individual that was there, that, cheered, screamed, sang, clapped, stood up, whatever. It was so good hearing a crowd pop, boo and stuff like that. I was even fine with them singing Chris Jericho's song. I was completely fine with that. Just because, we had that big crowd feel. And they were pretty much good for most of the night. Now, they were a little quiet for one match that I will get into. But it felt good to have a live crowd again. So going into the matches, first of all, we had the buy-in, which I did check out. The women's NWA Championship match, Serena Deeb versus Riho. And I figured that Serena would win this match because I kind of figured that Riho wouldn't win the NWA World Championship. I love Serena. I love Serena when she was with the Straight Edge Society, when she was with CM Punk, and I completely love her now. Of course, she really didn't do much when she was in WWE, but with her in NWA, especially with AEW, like, kudos to this relationship with NWA and AEW, because you see people like this, you see Serena, and you're like, oh man, that's really cool, and you go and check out NWA. Obviously, NWA doesn't have a TV deal. They're on YouTube. But, it gives them a bit of showing, like, this is what we have going on. The crowd cheered for both women. I did read that Riho officially called the U.S. her home. She actually traveled to Japan and came back from Japan like 2 or 3 days ago before this match. So, kudos to her for that. This was a really good match. A lot of back and forth. Now, let's not get too crazy. I was hearing that people sitting here saying that this was the greatest women's match of all time. Like, okay, power to you. There is too much history in wrestling for us to really go off of that. Was it a really, really good women's match in AEW? Yes. I wish we can keep this momentum going, because the AEW and their women's division, it really is like D-. But I love the fact that we have at least, stuff like this with Serena and Riho. This was a really good match. Serena wins this by submission. This match went on for 14 minutes. I love the fact that this actually came on. I love the fact that this actually happened right before the main card started, so you're not watching one match and then you're sitting there listening to the commentators for 30 minutes. It's that is action, and then boom, because not everybody shows up on time for these pre-shows or whatever. A lot of people morally show up closer to the time that the event starts, and it gives the women at least a crowd for them to cheer for. I definitely remember one year for WrestleMania, they did the pre-show. I think it was like a 2-hour pre-show. It was really crazy, and they decided to do a match in the first hour of that pre-show, and I felt bad for, I forgot what match it was, but I felt so bad for them because there was no crowd, because no one was there, because everyone was coming in towards that second hour where it was closer to the event. So I love the fact that we did this right before the event started so that they actually got the full crowd. So going into the main card, we had Adam Page versus Brian Cage, and a lot of people was upset that it wasn't in a cage. There was so many damn puns on Twitter. It was insane. Big pop for Hangman Page. I love how, I love how popular he is now, and this is what I wanted for him from the beginning. A lot of people was upset when he didn't win the AEW championship, when it was Chris Jericho who won. And I felt as though it was the right call, because no one really knew who Adam Page was except for the people who really know the indies and things like that. You put a big name out there, and then you use the big name to put over, their own people, basically, or people that, wrestlers that you don't really know that too much about. I love the fact that Adam Page, he's so popular now. He's such a likable guy, taking the beer from the crowd like he used to. And I know those beers were pretty expensive. But this was a great match between the both men. I don't know what the hell Brian Cage was wearing. He looked like he just walked out of the damn dollar store. I don't know if he was trying to be... I thought he was trying to be Terminator at first, but I was like, no, it doesn't look right. Like the armor looked more like tinfoil or whatever. But I don't know what I know his nickname is the Machine, but I don't know what machine he was trying to do. Like, are you referring to the Terminator, or are you trying to look like a wash machine or something like that? I don't know. But, let's do better. Let's just, hopefully Tony Khan took notes and said, I'm going to put a little bit of money towards the wardrobe people, because I don't know what that was. But like I said, this was a great match between both men. The story here was with Brian Cage and Team Taz. Ricky Starks and Hulk came out to try to interfere, to try to help out Brian Cage. Ricky Starks throws the FTW championship into the ring so that Brian Cage could take advantage. While Hulk had the referee distracted, Brian Cage took the title belt and threw it back to Ricky Starks. Taz was sitting there going crazy on commentary. Taz looking like somebody's dad on the sideline of a soccer game, first of all, but that's a different story. But then Brian Cage decided, no, I'm going to win this straight up. And I think it was Hawk that distracted Brian Cage some more. I forgot exactly what happened, but Brian Cage was distracted, which led for Adam Page to do his finish, and then 1, 2, 3, that was it. And I'm completely fine with the end result with Hangman Page winning it all. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with Adam Page, because he has the team up with the Dark Order and whatnot. But I know that the actual story of this is, Team Taz. It seems like Brian Cage may be eventually leaving Team Taz. We may get Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. We just need more Ricky Starks. That's all I'm saying. He has so much damn charisma. It's crazy. So next up is the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. First of all, Jon Moxley new theme song. I heard that it came from him and his tag team partner over in New Japan or something like that. That's why it changed. But it's so perfect to play in front of a live crowd. The crowd was sitting there singing it off the top of their lungs. Jon Moxley sitting there going crazy. They was walking through with the damn Jordans from the Young Bucks. Jon Moxley threw a chair and whatnot. He took somebody's beer and smashed it on his forehead. And Eddie Kingston, this is the first time that Eddie Kingston's in front of a crowd. I didn't even realize this until they actually mentioned it. And I'm like, oh yeah, he debuted it during the damn pandemic. And the fans were sitting there cheering, his name, a lot of love for Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston, he was sitting there loving Jon Moxley going absolute crazy during the entrance. He was sitting there pointing to him like, yeah, that's my best friend, Jon Moxley, a little crazy. And like I said, the crowd was sitting there singing Jon Moxley theme, Wild Thing. I'm not surprised about it. I absolutely loved it. The crowd was into this match 100%. A lot of back and forth with the Young Bucks, Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, which, of course, we all knew what was going to happen. My only issue is I don't know what we are going to do with the Young Bucks. When are they ever going to lose these damn titles? And it's just my issue with one of my issues with AEW is that I want AEW to concentrate on people other than the elite. Like, I get it. They're the executive vice president. This is their time to shine and everything. But I just wish that, I wanted Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley to win the tag team titles. This would have been the perfect opportunity for them to win the titles, for them to be in front of the fans. First time in front of the fans. Eddie Kingston's first time in front of the fans. And, if they had won the titles, it would have been absolute crazy. You can definitely continue the feud to have the Young Bucks, try to go after the titles again. But, I felt as though it would have been right for Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley to win the title. This, of course, the Good Brothers came out to interfere. We had Brandon Cutler that was interfering as well. The Good Brothers that came out and they tried to interfere, but Frankie Kazarian had went and took out Carl Anderson, so we got that feud going on. And then Brandon Cutler, he was spraying the I forgot what he sprays. But he was sitting there trying to, cool off. I think it was Nick that he was trying to cool off or whatever. And there was this part where after Jon Moxley got hit with the aerosol can, you see Jon Moxley sit up and you see him call, you can see his mouth moving and you see him call a spot. Of course, he was bleeding from the head and everything like that. But in the end, the Young Bucks win the match by pinfall. But I just wish that we had Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley winning this match in the end. This match went on for 21 minutes. If it wasn't for the crowd, this match would have definitely felt like it went for too long. But the fact that the crowd was in this the whole way through, I really didn't mind that the match went for so long. So next up is the Casino Battle Royale for a shot at a future AEW World Championship match. I believe this is the first time the Battle Royale is on the card. Normally it's on the pre-show or it's the first match, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the first time that I remember that is this deep on the card. So first up was the Suit of Clubs, Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobb, Dustin Rhodes, and then Matt Caster from The Acclaim. Kudos to Matt Caster. First of all, I always made fun of him with his rhymes because he definitely reminds me of John Cena with this thugonomics thing. I'm just waiting for him to come out and say word life. But he was busting some rhymes and he said this line. I forgot what it said word for word, but he said something along the lines that either Christian hasn't been good since he lost an edge or something like that. It was something along those lines. And I don't know if Christian, I don't know what happened with Christian. Christian had no response to it. Everybody was sitting there oh, and everything. And Christian was like, what? Edge? Where's Edge? Is Edge is here? He had no idea. I think somebody had to explain it to him or something like that. And then he told Dustin Rhodes that Dustin is so ugly that he should paint his whole face. I was like, oh, that's a good one. I do like the fact that we get entrances in here. I mean, I'm assuming because it's a live crowd, that's why we're getting this. Instead of all 5 people walking out at the same time, holding hands, and then when they get in the ring, they suddenly want to start fighting people. I like the fact that everyone's coming out one by one. So I had Christian winning this overall. So I was, I thought he would enter the match a little bit later. But next up was the Diamonds. It was Isaiah Cassidy, which I don't know what's going on with the wrestling gear. They look like they work at Best Buy or something with the khaki pants and everything. We had Matt Hardy. They tried to, they hit away and they tried to attack Preston, number 10 from the Dark Order. Of course, Preston was able to get the upper hand. Isaiah Cassidy and Matt Hardy was laid out on the floor. We had Nick Comoroto, who came out, and then Serpentico, who came out. I completely forgot that Isaiah Cassidy was in the match. I thought he was coming out to escort Matt Hardy, but because of the way he was dressed, so I completely thought that he wasn't in the match. But, And then after that, we had the Hearts, which was the Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, Colt Cabana, Anthony Bowens, and Penta El Zero Miedo, who was so over with the crowd. He was wearing the Joker gear, which chef's kiss. Somebody should need to show a picture of the gear to Brian Cage to show him when you want to look like something, this is how you do it. He needs to talk to Penta's people to work out whatever the hell machine thing he was trying to look like. Then after that, we had the Spades. Jungle Boy, who came out with a big pop. Mark Quinn, who also looked like he worked at Best Buy with the khaki pants. Aaron Soloa, Evil Uno, Lee Johnson as well. And then we got down to the Joker. And everybody was just throwing out all these damn names of the Joker. Oh, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and this, that, and the third. Everybody needs to stop putting up, high expectations. Tony Khan, from what I remember, didn't say anything really about who the Joker is going to be. But we all know that it's going to be somebody new, a new signing or whatever. Or, a cameo or something, and it was Lio Rush, which I was a little shocked about. I'm completely fine with it. He definitely, of course, we all remember him on the main roster, sitting there saying Lashley, 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 which, no bueno. But when he went down to NXT, he was like 20 times better, and I wish that he would have stayed that way, but unfortunately we all knew that WWE let him go. But I am happy that Lio Rush was with AEW. But then again, what was that? Lio Rush had no eliminations. He wasn't even in the match for 2 minutes. He came in, did a couple of poses, did a few moves. And then Matt Hardy just eliminates the guy. And I'm like, well, can we at least got, one elimination or something? I thought that he would at least be in the final 4 or something, or final 5. But, nope. I mean, I thought he would at least be in like final 3, final 2. But no. He got eliminated by Matt Hardy. And Christian Cage had the most eliminations with 4. He eliminated Matt Caster. He eliminated Matt Hardy. He eliminated Mark Quinn, and who was the last person he eliminated? Powerhouse Hobbs. Matt Sydal was the first one to go. I don't know what are we doing with Matt Sydal? I don't get it. Yeah, Leo, right, Devin. Leo got a quick 5 minutes. It was like, here's my resume, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, until next time. Which was like absolutely crazy for someone with that type of talent. You would think that he would have got a little bit more time. I would have loved to see him do a couple of more, high flying moves with Private Party. He was, going after them. They did the They did the silly string, and twice they almost did it. But I would love to see them like really go one-on-one type of situation. Well, not really one-on-one because it's two of them, but I would at least had wanted to see more of Lio Rush, especially for the people who know who he is and probably don't watch NXT, remember him from the main roster in WWE, and we at least could have gotten something more. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. But I am shocked. When we got to the final two, it was Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. I immediately figured that we're going to get Christian Cage to win this match because, what happens is they shoot people to the moon like they are Cameron Grimes. And so I figured that Christian Cage is going to get this title shot because he already stood toe-to-toe to Kenny Omega. And we're going to get Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage at a later date or whatever. But shocker, Jungle Boy wins the Battle Royale. And he gets a shot at the AEW Championship match. Now, I'm not going to be absolutely surprised that, when Jungle Boy eventually get this title shot, that is just going to be like he's going to get a fighting chance. We know whoever defeats Kenny Omega, it probably won't be for like another 6 months or something, and it's going to be against who knows. Yeah, well, yes, the thing with, I'm a bit upset with Powerhouse Hobbs, Devin. Devin says Will Hobbs too, he started good, took a 15-minute break, came back, and then immediately got eliminated. He pretty much pulled a Charlotte Flair. Like, he was gone, and then all of a sudden, he came back towards the end. I wish they would do more with Powerhouse Hobbs, especially, like, he's more intriguing now that he's heel, even though he does that one look with the twitch lip, whatever. But I wish they would do more with him. He definitely, when he was face, he definitely had a lot of promise. They kept teaming him up with Jon Moxley when he was champion. And so when he turned heel and he's with Team Taz, I'm like, okay, we'll get a little bit more with him. But unfortunately, Taz is not MVP. We're not going to get a lot of gold coming on his side. I mean, we got the FTW championship, which isn't defended, isn't even really talked about unless you see it, on his shoulder or something like that. But I wish we had gotten a lot more with Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, it was an enjoyable battle royale. Sometimes with AEW, they love these battle royales, and a lot of times it's a hot mess. The crowd, of course, made it like 20 times better, and there were a lot of good spots in this match, but the biggest thing though, I am so happy for Jungle Boy. Now, I don't know what we're going to do, because the thing is that he has the gimmick where, he's starting to talk, but he doesn't really talk, and he's a Jungle Boy, but, like, when I first was introduced to him in AEW, I felt as though that he could definitely do a lot more. It feels like his moveset is limited because of the gimmick. I feel as though he could probably, like, not like Ray Phoenix or something like that, but I feel like he could put on, like, absolute, like, 5-star type of match, if given the right situation. But who knows? Who knows what we're going to do, because we're going to eventually have to break up the Jungle Express. Luchasaurus isn't really doing much. I mean, Marco Stunt is a whole other story. There is so much hate for Marco Stunt. It is crazy. Marco Stunt is starting to turn into the Baron Corbin of AEW. But as far as with this Casino Battle Royale, it was better than most, mainly because of the crowd and mainly because of Jungle Boy winning it at the end. And then we get to the next match, and this is the match where the crowd just completely was like, what the hell? And that's Cody Rhodes, aka Homelander, aka Triple H Jr., going against Anthony Ogogo. And I was impressed with Anthony Ogogo because I know that I think he comes from boxing, if I'm not mistaken. He was in the Olympics. His name sounds familiar because I love watching the Olympics. And I thought, I knew Cody was going to win this. Like, I knew he was going to win this. Because if you are AEW fanatic, this is going to hurt your heart. But you are watching Triple H at his finest. And I am not talking about Daddy NXT Triple H. I'm talking about give me all the titles and give me all the wins. Yes, hashtag anyone but Cody. But Cody is in charge. Imagine Triple H back in the day being in charge of NXT and he's on the roster of NXT. There would have been no Undisputed Era. There would have been no Imperium. There would have been no Pete Dunne. There would have been no Karrion Kross. Like, Cody Rhodes is out here collecting wins and souls. This dude, for Halloween, he need to be Shang Tsung because he is taking souls out here. The crowd was pretty much dead for this. Cody Rhodes, I cracked up when I saw Cody Rhodes coming out with the Homelander gear. This is this is what happens when you see, pictures, but you don't watch the show. Now, I'm still in season 1, but even I know you shouldn't dress up as Homelander. I thought he was going to do like an ode to his dad or something since he's going to be the American Dream. I figured we was going to do something like that. I knew we was going to get like over the top type of entrance with the pyro and everything like that. Including and he even got the Kenny Omega type of introduction with the, son of a plumber and this, that, and the third. I mean, no, grandson of a plumber, son of a working man. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. And then when we get to Anthony, it's like, oh, here go Anthony Ogogo. All right, bell, ring, ding dong. Oh my gosh, like, I remember when Cody Rhodes, took that sledgehammer and hit the throne. And everybody went crazy and was like, oh, Cody Rhodes is one of us. He is not going to be the authority and he's going to play fair and everything like that. But when you get that power, when you get that power, you do what Cody did last night. You slowly turn to Homelander. You realize you got the world in the palm of your hand, the wrestling world in the palm of your hand, and you love to become the ultimate underdog and all this other stuff. You get what happens last night. Not last night. You get what happened at the AEW Double or Nothing. You get what Cody Rhodes did. And I feel Anthony Ogogo has a lot of promise. He did a beautiful frog splash towards the end. But you can't stop Cody Rhodes. If it wasn't for Darby Allin's popularity and everything, Cody Rhodes would probably still have the TNT championship. But I mean, the match between them two was about 11 minutes, which, wasn't too bad, but come on, Cody. Come on, just take a couple of losses. I don't know what his record is, but I know it's up there. I know it's like Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley type of wins. If I'm not mistaken, I do remember at one point he was undefeated. So Cody Rhodes is at it once again. We'll see who he's going to feud with next. Because it shouldn't be QT Marshall, because QT Marshall has no fighting chance. But yeah, I thought we was going to get more like ode to his dad type of situation, but no, it was an ode to him. And the crowd was pretty much dead during this match, as they should have been. Because it really wasn't that, it was kind of one-sided. I mean, Anthony had offense and stuff like that, but you could tell like he's still learning and he's still trying. And you really can't be an underdog when you're in the ring with someone that doesn't have as much wrestling experience as you. But this match was what it was. So next up we had Miro versus Lance Archer for the AEW TNT Championship. I really thought this was going to be the match of the night because I know what Lance Archer can do. I've seen it, and I figured with Miro becoming pretty much Rusev like type of gimmick that this would be like hard-hitting type of match. And it really wasn't, and it's because they really didn't have that much time. This match was for like less than 10 minutes. And it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. It wasn't as hard-hitting or anything like that. It just felt like because of how long a lot of the matches was, going through, that they just was like, all right, you guys only got, you guys got 2 minutes type of situation. It felt like maybe they had a lot more planned. They probably had like maybe a 20-minute match in them, and they had probably a lot more set up for probably the later part of their match, but it felt like they got told, last minute, okay, you guys gotta cut it. And it kind of just went down there for there. Yeah, Lance, you can say Lance got buried, because Lance Archer definitely has so much talent, yo. I forgot it was the tribute night for Brody Lee. He was pulling out damn moves I didn't know a guy his size can do. And I know we say that a lot, because of the heavy set guys be sitting here doing like lucha style moves, but Lance Archer was pulling out these moves. He did like this. He did like he was on the top rope, if I remember correctly, and he did like some type of moonsault type of situation. And I was like, yo, what the hell was that? And I instantly became a fan. I was a fan of his before, but it was like, yo, somebody got to put gold on you. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. And I was kind of hoping that this was going to be a good match and that we would kind of keep this feud going, but it really started off on a rough start. The moment of the night was Jake the Snake coming in with the snake bag, and Miro grabs the bag and he throws it, and I was dying. Of course, all the good-hearted people who have no skeletons in their closet comes on Twitter and is like, oh my god, he threw the bag. Oh my god, the snake. He killed the snake. Oh my god, somebody call the cops. Somebody call, whatever. And it's like, people, okay, if you can't take a snake, first of all, we all know there was no snake in the bag. Jake the Snake didn't even open it. He was sitting there tugging with the strings before Miro grabs it. If you can't take the fact that it was a bag with probably a pillow in it, you can't take the fact that we all know there was no snake in there, you really should not see some of the things that Brock Lesnar did back in the day. You want to be offended, you need to don't Google Brock Lesnar. Oh man, I forgot the kid's name. I think his first name was Zach. Don't Google that. You're gonna be very upset with that one. But I was cracking up when he threw the snake bag towards the entrance. In the end, Miro had won by quote unquote submission, but Lance Archer passed out. So we're gonna get this feud going some more. We got to get redemption for the snake that Jake the Snake thrown. I don't think we have seen a snake yet. I think the last time Jake the Snake actually brought out a snake was in WWE with Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley. I don't think he actually brought in the snake in AEW yet. So everybody needs to calm down. But yeah, this match wasn't as good as expected. I'm hoping maybe we get something better. It feels like they'll probably, continue this feud on to if AEW decides to have a special Dynamite episode, one of their Fight for the Fallen or something like that, because I highly doubt they're going to keep this going until All Out. I highly doubt it. They could try to do it, but it's going to be too much. It's too much time. So I feel like keep it going, but I'm hoping that the next match will be 20 times better than what we got. Next up, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Hikaru Shida for the Women's AEW World Championship. This was a good match. I'm very happy that we got this. First of all, the referees, I don't know what is going on with the referees and these rules that AEW loves to do. I used to love the fact that the title with the tag team matches, instead of the 5 count, it was a 20 count. But, as time goes on and I'm like really paying attention, it's just like a free for all for some of this stuff. And the referees need to figure out their cues, because there was the spot where I believe it was Rebel who threw the belt into the ring or something like that. The referee was distracted at first, but the referee turned around too early, and he saw the belt, and he saw, I believe Hikaru got hit with the belt at that point, and I believe the ref saw it. And AEW just really needs to like work on roles and just kind of keep stick to it, because a lot of people are feeling like there should have been a DQ, and when stuff like this happens, especially when the belt changes hands, you feel happy for the person, but then it's like, yeah, but the referee saw the belt and it should have been a DQ. So, hopefully AEW, Tony Khan kind of works with that, and, they're really good with working with whenever something gets messed up. So I'm hoping that Tony Khan kind of uses that. Maybe Britt Baker and the ref are in cahoots or something like that, kind of, work with that type of situation. And then it'll lead to a rematch with Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. And then, we just go from there. There were a lot of false finishes with this match. It was a little too much at one point. There were a few that it worked perfectly. You thought you were going to get a 3 count. And, you get the kick out. But, I know some people really love it when it's the false finishes. And it's like back to back to back. And then it's like 1 minute straight wrestling. Then it's the false finishes back to back to back to back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it just doesn't. And with this match, it was just a little bit too much at one point. But this was a good match. Kudos to AEW. It feels like we're starting to get some type of steam with these women's matches because, like I always say, I feel as though they have the talent. It's just that they gotta let the women do what they do. It will happen. I also feel the same way with Britt Baker that I do with Hangman Page. I swore Britt Baker was going to be the poster child of AEW. And, she didn't get the title right away. And, with her as a face, it just felt like something was missing. And, she's a likable person, but she wasn't as trained in the ring from what I remember, and it was just something off about her. Like, she's likable, but she just didn't have an edge. And ever since she turned heel, it definitely it works so much better for her. For some reason, I guess it's just like more creative, not creative control, but you have more fun when you're a heel versus a face. Because, in your face, you do nothing but shake hands and kiss babies. When you're a heel, you have the attitude, you can talk about people, you can be mean to the crowd and stuff like that. It just feels like, a lot of wrestlers have a lot more fun when they're a heel. Sasha Banks, for instance, she's great as a heel. And with Britt Baker, she works a lot better as a heel. So definitely kudos to Britt Baker. Congratulations for her. It's definitely been a long time coming. A lot of people are shocked that she didn't have the title this whole time. But for me, I feel as though this is the perfect opportunity. She definitely needs to get more experience in the ring. She definitely needed, a gimmick that definitely works for her. She's still, the doctor and stuff, like the dentist and everything like that. But it's just the fact that she's so much better on the mic. The things with her and Tony Schiavone, especially when she got injured and she was in the wheelchair and everything like that, and she had the glass around her like Michael Cole did back in the day. But it definitely worked so much for her. I was a little shocked she wasn't as emotional. I thought she would be a little more emotional when she won the match, and she won by submission, which I was a little surprised about. I thought that Britt Baker would get the actual pin. I didn't expect Shida to actually tap out, but she actually tapped out. So definitely kudos to Shida. She had the belt for over a year. I was just very upset that she wasn't featured on AEW Dynamite as all their other champions are. That she was mainly sitting on the sidelines just chilling. I'm hoping with Britt Baker as champion, she'll definitely, I know she'll be shown a lot more, but that the title actually means something, now that, She doesn't have to wrestle at every AEW Dynamite, but at least acknowledge that you have a women's championship title instead of constantly showing love to NWA women's championship. Show love to your own women's championship as well. It was a sweet moment at the end with Tony Schiavone hugging Britt Baker. You could tell he was he was like really proud of her because of the road that she has taken ever since the start of AEW. Of course, everybody was like, well, when Adam Cole didn't post anything, when's Adam Cole gonna post something? Which he did eventually. I saw on, I think it was Twitter, I think he posted something on Instagram. He posted a picture with him and her and everything like that. But I'm completely happy for her. She definitely has gotten, like I said, so much better in the ring, so much better doing promos and stuff like that. So definitely kudos to her. And then we get to Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. I love these little vignettes that we get with Sting and Darby Allin before their entrance. It definitely gives me like one of those like cult classic type of movies. I just wish it, I don't know, I feel like it should be some type of continuation with them. But I loved it. And then we get the snow in Florida and stuff like that. And this was a match that I was kind of waiting for, because I'm like, we're going to get Sting live, and this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought that Darby Allin will be the one in the ring most of the time, that Sting will be the one with the hot tag. Towards the end, he does, quick couple of moves, pins, 1, 2, 3, and win. And that's not what the hell we got here. First of all, it was a big pop for Sting and Darby Allin, of course. Darby Allin was wearing face paint very similar to Sting. It just gave me this like big brother, little brother type of vibes. But I feel like, Darby Allin is just loving being able to work with Sting. First of all, can we all feel bad about our lives right now? Sting is what, 60s? And he's sitting here doing dives and like, it blew my mind what Sting was doing. There are people half his damn age in wrestling that can't do what he does. I just want wherever he got this energy from, I think he should put it in a bottle and sell it on Amazon. Hell, I'm 37. I was literally sitting on the couch watching this with a hurt lower back because I sat on the couch weirdly for too long. And so I'm like leaned up with my hip, like trying to raise my hip off the couch so my lower back can feel better. And I'm looking at a 60-year-old guy doing dives and going from corner to corner, doing dives like he's fucking Cesaro and stuff. And it just like blew my damn mind. I'm sitting here like, okay, cool. Yeah, I need to fucking work out and eat spinach and something like that. Because apparently Sting found the fountain of youth and he's holding it out for everybody. There was, this funny part where, Ethan Page threw Darby Allin into the first row. Obviously, it was all wrestlers there. I don't know why Darby Allin hates his body. He's not, it's just like a tale of two different type of lifestyles. Darby Allin will throw himself into a pole if he could for wrestling. And by the time he is Sting's age, he's going to be walking around like The Undertaker. It's just crazy to me. And then you get frustrated because it's like, Sting had this in him the whole time. We could have easily got so much more out of him when he was in WWE versus the whole WCW versus DX type of situation. Even though I didn't even watch WCW like that. And even I knew NWO and Sting weren't really the best of friends. And that the people who were NWO are actually friends of DX. It's just like, a lot of people on Twitter was like, we could have got Sting versus The Undertaker, a match that we all wish we could have had. And, well, it'll never happen now, but it could have actually happened with a cinematic match. But, But for Sting, oh my gosh, this match was so good. And the crowd was going crazy. Because, in the beginning of the match, Sting was getting attacked by Scorpio Sky. Then Sting stood on the stage and he did a dive onto Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And then it was a lot of tags in and out, which I was surprised about. I thought Sting was going to be on the apron for the rest of time until the end of the match. But there was frequent tags in, tag out. Sting then, of course, like I had said, he started doing these. He had Scorpio Sky in one corner, Ethan Page on the opposite, and he was going back and forth doing dives. And I'm sitting here like, that blew everyone's mind. This match was only for like 12 minutes, but it was a very fun 12 minutes. Like, I cannot believe what the hell we got there. After that, we get the three-way match for the AEW World Championship. The crowd was still, holding it in there. Of course, you kind of get a little bit exhausted after you've seen that display of Sting. And it was the first time we get Sting, in person since his match with Seth Rollins, if I'm not mistaken, in WWE. But here we got Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy versus Pac. And Orange Cassidy, he has so much potential. It's just the fact that he has that gimmick, which it's a likable gimmick, but you can't. I like Orange Cassidy, and I remember Orange Cassidy from when he was in Chikara. I think he was Fire Ant, if I'm not mistaken. It was a lot of ant people, and I remember he was one of them. And when I found out it was him, it just blew my mind because I remember seeing that moveset. Orange Cassidy definitely has the talent to be a champion. It's just that gimmick that he is, this Slav or whatever it is not like believable. I mean, it's believable to some fans, but it's just not believable to me. Pac has championship gold written all over his face, but I knew Kenny Omega was going to retain the title. I don't know who he's going to lose the title to or when he's going to lose this title. Because we pretty much have, this whole elite thing with the tag team champions and Kenny Omega. So I don't know when they're going to lose the title. But this was a good match. I just didn't like the ending. It felt like this match was like not really cut short, because this match lasted for like over 25 minutes. But the ending just felt like, felt very rushed, I should say. A lot of back and forth. Orange Cassidy was just taking moves. Orange Cassidy was also showing like how good of a wrestler he is, but it's just the fact that he stuck with the gimmick. Pac, of course, oh my gosh. Ever since Pac left WWE and he went to other promotions, I'm so happy that we got him back. He's no longer this Mighty Mouse gimmick. But I can't wait for Pac to win a championship. Kenny Omega, like I said, retains here, which I'm not really that surprised about. I don't know who he's going to eventually go against, for his next feud. If we're going to continue, I figure we're going to continue with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley here. But I don't know. He's a collector. He has like 6 championships belts right now. They're mainly using him to go over to other promotions and everything like that. But yeah, this was a good match though. And then we get an announcement of of course there's going to be the new show. I forgot the name of it already, but it's coming Friday nights in August, I believe. It's going to be Friday nights at 10 p.m. And they said it's going to be a coach and there's an analyst for the new show. And it was Mark Henry. And I was like, I was completely shocked by it. Because I thought he was still, sticking around with WWE and everything like that. But I was completely shocked by it. Now, for him being as a coach, okay. Okay, AEW Rampage. All right, yeah, that's the name of it. And it's going to be Friday nights at 10, which I originally said was going to be a good idea because you're getting the crowd that's coming from SmackDown. But as we saw with last week, AEW Dynamite at 10 p.m. Wasn't really that good of ratings. However, they need to work on their stuff. And I'll get to the issue with, AEW and all this TV and their roster and stuff like that in a moment. But I am completely shocked that Mark Henry has gone over to AEW. He's going to be a coach and an analyst. I guess he's going to be a commentator or something like that for the show. I'm not quite sure exactly what they actually mean with him. They have like 20 commentators as is. It's normally like 4 people to a match. I know they had Paul White commentating, I think during the Casino Battle Royale, if I'm not mistaken. But Mark Henry as a coach, I don't know. I don't know. But, he definitely has the experience and everything like that. Who all remembers the salmon jacket incident where he should have won the title, but of course he was going against the entity that is John Cena. But I'm interested to see what he has planned. I mean, I guess they're trying to create their own little NXT type of dynamic where they got all these coaches and everything like that helping out the talent, which works for them because they are building up a lot of their people are also people that, haven't been heard of from the casual fans and things like that. But AEW just has their own type of damn issue with their roster. And I will talk about that in a second. But first, let's get to the main event, the Stadium Stampede match. If the Inner Circle were to lose, they would have to have been forced to disband forever. Of course, there were talks that there was going to be some type of cameos and stuff like that. We weren't really sure. Of course, people started throwing out the damn names and stuff like that. Now, this was a fun match, just like the first Stadium Stampede was. The Inner Circle, coming down from the Titantron and everything, I was a little bit cringe because, we just had an anniversary of someone's death and they had kind of came down from the Raptors. So I kind of held my breath there, but this was all pre-taped. So obviously it was going to be okay, but it was a pretty good entrance with the Inner Circle. They came down, of course, the fire and stuff like that. We had the music going and stuff. MJF was stepped out of a limo. He was by himself. We had Inner Circle running in, trying to attack him. And then we get the rest of the Pinnacle coming out. I forgot what they came out on. I don't know if it was I don't think it was a golf cart or something like that. But they came out anyway. And then the fight starts. And then all the fights separated, of course. We had MJF and Chris Jericho fighting each other. And they went into the stadium. And we got our cameo. Urban Meyer. They went into the coaches' office apparently, and Urban Meyer said shit. That's what I wrote down because I couldn't believe that. And then I'm sitting here like, well, I was talking with some people on Twitter. I was like, well, if you want to impress me, you can get Trevor Lawrence out here. People were saying Tim Tebow. I was like, Tim Tebow could be, on his knee praying at some point. Tell, Chris Jericho he's going to pray for him type of situation and just keep it going. We had Jake Hager and Wardlow, of course, fighting each other. We had Santana and Ortiz with Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Now, I realized Tully was dressed up in the gear as well, and I completely died at the part where they were in where they were in the lounge, and you see Dax and Cash standing up, leaned up against the bar, and you see Tully wearing the sleeveless shirt and everything, just standing there like a the grandpa with his grandsons trying to pick up the chicks and stuff like that after his divorce or something. And I just completely cracked up. So, of course, they come into the bar, they take a shot together, and then they start fighting. And we had Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears as well fighting each other. Someone was in the crowd, and they took a selfie of themselves, and you see Peyton Royce, a.k.a. Cassie, sitting in the crowd. And people's like, well, why didn't she backstage, stuff like that? Well, maybe she wants to sit out in the damn crowd, be amongst, and be a fan for once instead of a wrestler. But she was there, of course, cheering on her guy. But yeah, this was a fun match, I have to say. I was a little shocked that we had the Inner Circle win. I had Pinnacle winning, because I figured, this is about as much as we're going to get out of the Inner Circle. Because, with AEW, they love to do these trios and tag teams and, this person with the manager and these 4 people together and this group with this group and stuff like that. So I was kind of looking forward to the Inner Circle breaking up, because I feel as though, first of all, Sammy Guevara definitely needs his time to shine. He has, he has gotten so over from when he first started. I remember when he first started, he was wearing, I think it was like a panda or something like that, or he may have been wearing something else. But I remember he was going against Kip Saban, and I remember looking at Sammy Guevara, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And now look at him, completely 180. And I feel as though he definitely needs his time to shine as a singles competitor, and at least start going for the TNT Championship. Santana or Ortiz, they need a title on them right now. I've said that about other tag teams, but Santana and Ortiz, we all remember the parking lot brawl, them showing off what they can do, that they have it in them to have some good behind feuds, but with them being in the circle, they're kind of like there, I should say. Jake Hager's Jake Hager, he's just going to stand there. And then, Chris Jericho can go on to kind of work with somebody else, I would say. He's gotten, especially the three other members of the Inner Circle over so good. But, however, it is good to see the Pinnacle, stuff like that, him and MJF kind of going back and forth. And we're kind of, seeing, Shawn Spears and Wardlow and all that other stuff, but I am shocked that the Inner Circle won this match. This match went on for about 30 minutes and whatnot. But overall, this was a really good pay-per-view. I am happy that they definitely did a lot. And I was happy with, as far as with Mark Henry, that it was a surprise. Tony Khan didn't come out and be like, hey, we're going to have this, that, and the third. And then Tony Khan went and did a promo, and he started talking about WWE and their partnership with New Japan, and he was sitting there saying, I'm the only Khan in the wrestling business, not the Khan that's in Connecticut. And it's like, dude, first of all, slow your roll. We still remember the damn ending to the barbed wire exploding match, okay? Let's all calm down. I appreciate when Tony Khan talks about AEW, when he gets to interviews, stuff like that, and he talks like a promoter, like UFC or something like that. I'm not appreciative of him turning into a damn gimmick, because, you're starting to do a little too much. And it was people who loved the promo, it was people who didn't like the promo. I feel as though he needs to put his attention elsewhere, because I'm getting into this part of the section of the issue that I have with AEW, and that they have too many damn people. It makes no sense whatsoever. We all complain about Raw being 3 hours, stuff like that. If you complain about Raw, you need to check out how long AEW Dark is, first of all, how long AEW Evolution is, and now we got 2 hours of Dynamite, and we got another hour of Rampage. And it's like too much wrestling right now, and they have too many damn people. They really do. They have enough people to fill. The AEW Dark can go from 2 to 3 hours. I seen one episode was over 3 hours. They got the AEW Evolution, which is about like 3 hours, I would say. Not 3 hours, maybe like 2 to 3 hours. And of course, you have to like watch it on YouTube in order to see who's on there and stuff like that. But they have too many people. And then with AEW Dynamite, they're like featuring the same people: Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Inner Circle, Pinnacle, Cody Rhodes. It's just like, stop. Stop. Write down your whole damn roster and get it together. And then on top of that, they're swelling up the roster with these WWE signings. And of course, every time somebody gets released from WWE, people immediately start saying they should go to AEW. No. Okay? Let's stop. Because AEW is slowly turning into WCW, which I have said from the get-go. Their issue is them turning into WCW 2.0, or they're turning into the Cody and Friends, which is the other issue I have, is the whole Cody and Friends thing. Cody Rhodes all the time, win, get himself over, I'm the underdog, and not putting over his own talent. We have Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, who has had the titles for a very long time and don't know when they're going to lose it. Like I had said earlier, AEW Double or Nothing would have been the perfect time for them to lose the tag team title to Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. And you definitely could have had a lot more fun with continuing that feud. Kenny Omega, of course, you know, he has all the titles. I understand Kenny Omega has a lot of talent. I'm not going to deny that. However, you have this company where you don't want to turn into, you know, you don't want people to know just the top talent so much that once those people leave, everybody's like, okay, see ya. I don't know who this person is. Who the hell is Jungle Boy? Don't know who you are. Goodbye. And you're not putting over your own talent. Yeah, AEW/WCW. They're WCW Junior, WCW 2.0. And I like I had said before, I was a WWE fanatic that turned into a wrestling fan. So back in the day, during the wars, I was a straight up WWE fan. I did check out WCW from time to time. So when AEW started, you know, I didn't get the WCW feel that a lot of people started getting. So I was all in the stars and my eyes were all twinkling and stuff. But now that, you know, we are, however many years in, now I'm starting to like, okay, this is turning into WCW Junior, where we're, you know, signing all these former WWE people, just like WCW was doing with Macho Man and Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan and Razor Ramon and Diesel and all of them. We're signing all these people and we're swelling up the roster without our own talent. And then shortly, once, you know, your own talent starts getting older, and now you're left with all these young people are not going to be watching it like that. And then on top of that, you start getting into that damn tug of war where you're trying to entice people to either stay with your company or you're trying to pull them from WWE. Now, AEW has a fantastic position where they can work with other promotions respectively and stuff like that. And I really appreciate AEW for doing that. But they have too many people on their roster. I remembered, I checked to see how many people they had. I believe they're at 100, if I'm not mistaken, which is too many damn people for realistically just your 2-hour show. Because you got to assume that people are not watching the YouTube series, especially the fact that they started about at 7 o'clock, so you're gonna lose. You're only getting people for that first hour, and I feel like it is a good idea. I'm not going to put that down. It's a good idea that they do this YouTube show. The problem is once they come over to Dynamite, they're carrying over whatever the win-loss record is on Dark. I think it was the Varsity Blondes or something like that who suddenly got the tag team title shot. And I'm like, weren't they on Dark? I mean, what is with... They were showing like their win or loss record, and I wasn't understanding how they suddenly got a title shot when they were on Dark this whole time. Now, admittedly, I, wasn't really watching AEW Dynamite like all the way through, so they may have been featured and got a few wins. But you gotta treat AEW Dark like kind of like as NXT. Like whatever happens on Dark happens on Dark. I mean, you can use your top guys like they had John Moxley wrestling on AEW Dark and stuff like that to kind of like draw eyes, but you should definitely just use the show kind of like to get some of your talent used to a live crowd, used to, TV, quote unquote, stuff like that. And that way, when you bring them on AEW Dynamite, they're like not looking like fish out of the water, or they at least are able to get their footing together with the promos and their gimmick and stuff like that, so they don't look like complete fools on AEW Dynamite. Oh, so the Varsity Blondes got all their wins on Dark, which I don't understand because I don't watch. I used to watch Dark a lot, but then it started getting like too much of trying to keep up with everything, and so I kind of don't really keep up with Dark. So for people who only simply watch AEW Dynamite, you're not understanding how the Varsity Blondes suddenly get a title shot, and you're not familiar with the Varsity Blondes, so you're not backing them up when it's time for them to get a title shot. And I just wish, and then Tony Khan mentioned how he doesn't want to add a third hour to AEW Dynamite, which I can kind of understand, but I feel as though, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say that they could, they could get away with it because they do have like enough like excitement and stuff like that. But I kind of agree that they should just move that third hour somewhere else. But, they can simply use Rampage for the other talent as well. Kind of go from Dark to Rampage to Dynamite. But the issue with AEW is that they need to work out their issues with their shows and with the roster. They have too many people. And it feels like they're not going to stop. They're going to keep signing. They're going to keep grabbing WWE people. And no, they're not going to grab everyone. But you can't sit here and tell me that Miro's not going to ask them to bring Lana along. What is Lana going to do? Lana's going to sit at home? Lana's going to go to another promotion? Yeah, and it is match after match. Which at first, AEW Dark is just match after match, no stories. That's why I lost interest in Dark. And I at first liked that when it was like match after match, because it was like, okay, yeah, we getting all this action, back to back to back to back. And then it turns to, okay, well, why am I caring? Why do you want me to spend 3 hours watching people who I don't know about? You're not telling me who they are. I don't have no type of backstory with them. And first of all, you got Excalibur and Taz. They're the funniest commentators, first of all, because they are hilarious. But they're not telling me about the wrestlers. They're sometimes they'll talk about what's going on in the ring, but you're not telling me like who the Varsity Blondes are. And I had an issue. I had talked about it in a couple of episodes. I wasn't really caring too much about Brian Pillman Jr. I felt as though he was riding the coattails of his dad. He had the look and everything like him until I saw the Dark Side of the Ring and I heard his story. And I was like, well, how come we're not getting this in AEW Dynamite? You could have definitely used his story of what he said, of how he feels about his dad, stuff like that. Like, you don't have to bring in, he was talking about like abuse and stuff like that and how he decided to not let that, keep him down, stuff like that. But you definitely could have used that for, AEW. And then, so when I see the Varsity Blondes, I will actually cheer for them because I'm like, oh yeah, the story with, Brian Pillman Jr. and how his dad means to him and why he's doing what he's doing. One of the things I absolutely loved about what AEW did was they had a YouTube series called Road to whatever, and it was like Road to Double or Nothing, Road to All Out, Road to Fight for the Fall and stuff like that. And they used the YouTube series to talk more about their people. So that's how I found out about Britt Baker and her being a dentist and stuff like that. How she was going to school to be a dentist at the same time, and then she turned around and was like learning to wrestle and stuff like that. She barely got sleep. And that's how I found out about Britt Baker, and I came to really like her. And I wish they would do something like that, like use AEW Dark to kind of like introduce people to your wrestlers. Because when you get people, you know, like I said, they have the talent with especially with some of the talent that was in the Casino Battle Royale, but it's starting to feel like, you know, it's starting to feel like main event where you just have people there on a show that nobody really watches, but you really have good talent. So that's my rant for AEW and their roster. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. So going into WWE, I don't get the issue with Raw. Raw feels like a waste of space right about now. It's just crazy how the same company that puts out Raw puts out SmackDown. Going into SmackDown, we had the Street Profits versus the Usos, which of course was a good match. I am still waiting for Uso versus Uso. I feel as though we're going to slowly get it. I'm hoping that we get the match at SummerSlam because it's definitely a big match. And I pre-ordered Jimmy Uso's shirt, Nobody's Bitch. It's on pre-order. I should be getting it next week, and I cannot wait. I haven't seen WWE put out a shirt like that since the Attitude Era, and I love it. But of course, you know, Jimmy is trying to get Jay to turn his back against the Tribal Chief. But I love the fact that we got the Usos back again, but I cannot wait for Uso versus Uso. Like I always say, 9 times out of 10, of course, I always mention the exception being the Bellas. Normally when you have sibling versus sibling, family member versus family member, best friend versus best friend, is normally the best feuds. Raw new meeting, repeat ass wrestling. Truth. Cause I just tune in from time to time. It's either background noise or I just don't watch it at all and I just catch the highlights. Cause it's just like the same thing over and over again. It's almost like AEW. AEW Dynamite is almost like Raw, with us getting like the same thing over and over and over again. We also had, of course, the last match with the Riot Squad versus Natalya and Tamina. I'm so happy that Tamina finally gets a title. But unfortunately, there is no one left in the women's tag team division. So I don't know where we're going to go from here because there's no longer a Riot Squad. Natalya and Lana are no longer a team. I guess what? They're going to team up Liv Morgan and Naomi and Lana. So I guess they're going to team up Liv Morgan and Naomi or something like that until the next round of releases or something. Who knows? I didn't really catch Bianca Belair versus Carmella. I know the actual feud here is Bayley and Bianca Belair. Only caught the tail end when I saw Bayley hop on the table and starts yelling at Bianca Belair. And then of course we get Seth Rollins, who everybody calls Drip Daddy because of his damn suits that he be wearing. Like, I don't know if I should mention Steve Harvey or I don't know. But his suits is just like on a whole other level. I don't know where he gets his suits from. I would love to know where he gets his suits from. But he was wearing a nice number on Friday. It was a purple shirt, unbuttoned down the chest. Chest hairs was shown. And he was wearing it was like tropical leaves, but it had purple in it that matches the shirt. And he had the pants to match, stuff like that. And of course, he had cut a promo against Cesaro, and it was his birthday, and he sang happy birthday to himself and everything. Of course, Seth Rollins as heel is just chef's kiss, okay? Love it. And I love the fact that it's, him versus Cesaro. I can't wait to see Cesaro pull out some crazy-ass moves whenever they have this match again, which probably will be SummerSlam. And then we had Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews as well. Apollo Crews being defeated by DQ because Commander Aziz broke up the pin and got the DQ. So, all right. And then we saw the backstage segment with the tribal chief, the head of the table, the one who must be acknowledged, Roman Reigns talking to Jey Uso, because Adam Pearce had granted Jimmy's request for a tag team match on next week's show. And he was asking Jey, why would he want a match when Roman Reigns wants what's best for him? And what's best for him is what's best for the family. And the tribal chief just wants what's best for the family. And he didn't want Jey to go back asking fans he said, I don't want you to go back to the fans asking, which one are you again? Which I say is the best line. It's the best line I ever heard about the Usos. Which one are you again? Instead of main event Jey Uso. Which, even though his brother was hurt, it is a bit of a bittersweet because we got main event Jey Uso. And, now we got Jimmy Uso, who is nobody's bitch. And we could possibly get Uso versus Uso. Like, I'm about to put up a damn petition on for Uso versus Uso. And then we had Nakamura versus Chad Gable, which we had Rick Boogs or something like that. Well, Rick Boogs, who looks like Rick Rude, but he plays guitar. He's a musician like Elias. And now, I know he's on the Old Spice commercials for WWE, but now he plays Nakamura's theme, and he kind of like plays Nakamura to the ring. Which I think, I guess is cool, but at the same time, like, why? Why, why? Why are we putting these two together? I don't really understand why. But at least we got, Chad Gable instead of Shorty G. But it seems like they don't really have much to do with him. Like, at this point now, we are just, like... It feels like now we're just gathering lists of people who's going to be let go at the next round of quote-unquote budget cuts. But goodness gracious, Nakamura... I knew the moment that he left NXT that it will not be good for him on the main roster. Now, he started off on a high. He did win the Royal Rumble and everything like that, but now we're wrestling against Chad Gable. He's teamed up with Rick Boogs and stuff, and I mean he has the now he's getting the feud with Baron Corbin. I don't know, but at least I can't even say at least Nakamura's on TV, because people who are on TV are the ones that's getting cut as well. And then we had, then we got something now. I don't know what we're doing here with the Mysterios versus Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode. I was about to call him Robert Roode. Bobby Roode. We had the same thing that happened last week with now Rey Mysterio got hurt and Dominic had to do the match by himself, and then Rey Mysterio comes down in pain and stuff like that. I'm like, didn't we just get the same thing? Are we starting to get writers from Raw now coming over to SmackDown to write up things? Why can't we just have the Mysterios come to a match together and wrestle together and defend their title together? I'm not understanding that. Then coming over to Raw. Raw was a hot mess. I didn't even really watch the first hour. I did catch Randy Orton versus Xavier Woods, which was a really good match. And then, of course, Randy Orton did Riddle's finisher for the win, and everybody is on this whole RK Bro team thing. But I'm just waiting for Randy Orton to RKO Riddle. That's what I'm waiting on. And then we had Shayna Baszler versus Reginald, which, oh my gosh, man. Shayna Baszler, I was such a Shayna Baszler fan. And I just wish that we have something more for her to do instead of fighting damn Reginald. Even Nia Jax. I know a lot of people are not the biggest fans of Nia Jax, but I wish that we could just do something else with Nia Jax as well, instead of her, like, standing here and, cheering on Reginald. And I don't know. Like, Reginald has talent, obviously, but it's not being used because he's fighting against other women. And, in WWE, when you're fighting against other women, you really can't do much yourself. So I don't know what we're doing here. Like, obviously, this is going to lead to the breakup between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And we're going to be back to square one before they became a damn tag team. I'm just wishing that Shayna Baszler just go back to what she was when she was in NXT. And, we need that person back. I wish we can get that person back. Then we had Mason T-Bar versus Lucha House Party, which I did not watch at all. And then I watched a little bit of Sheamus versus Sheamus saying that he doesn't want to fight Alberto Carrillo and Ricochet at the same time, so then he decided to fight them back to back. Ricochet comes out first, and Ricochet with the jeans on, and I don't know. Like, when I heard that, I'm not gonna lie to you, when I heard that WWE was releasing people, I thought Ricochet was gonna be on there, because once you start losing your gear, they got you in the jeans and the church shoes and stuff like that. That's when it's slowly coming to an end. Like, I applaud the fact that we are getting him in the United States Championship picture, but even with that, as we have seen, just because you're in a championship, feud doesn't mean you are safe. But Sheamus is, I like Sheamus. He has a YouTube series. I don't know if it's still around, but he has a YouTube series where he does workouts, and he works out with like different people in wrestling and outside wrestling, and he like really seems like a cool dude, outside the Sheamus gimmick. But it's just like, I don't know. We're getting stale here. I'm not being excited with some of these feuds. And the thing with WWE, especially with Raw, they just beat these same feuds in the head. And it's like, I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. But it's like, it's like when you cook a lot of spaghetti and your family is tired of eating spaghetti. So instead of cooking something else, you cook more spaghetti and you try to dress it up as if it's not spaghetti. Like, you serve them a plate and you say, oh, but it's spaghetti and meatballs. We got meatballs here. And then, but I put bread with it. Like, I put spaghetti and bread. Like, that's what Raw is feeling like. Because we seen Sheamus versus Carlito. We seen Humberto. We seen Sheamus versus Ricochet. And I don't know. I think also what is hurting Raw is the fact that we don't have the fans. Like, we got the Thunderdome and stuff like that, and we have the fans' faces, but even still, that is being controlled. Because we got the fan crowd noise being controlled and everything like that. And maybe it's the fact that we just don't have the live crowd that maybe it's just like, it's really suffering. It is really suffering. The only good thing about Raw was the match between Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston. That was a really good match. And it gives you the thought, like, maybe Kofi Kingston will get another title shot. Who knows? But I am kind of ready for, like, I'm slightly ready for Drew McIntyre to turn heel or something. The fact that he has been, like, the quarantine champion this whole time, and, we get the, I'm so happy to be here type of situation with Drew McIntyre. I just want something slightly different. I like the fact that, I love the interaction between him and Kofi Kingston when they were cutting the promo against each other. Kofi's like, yo, I didn't call you out here to help me or anything like that. And he's like, I did, and Drew McIntyre sitting there saying, I did something that you haven't done, and I defeated Brock Lesnar, bringing up the fact that Kofi lost in a couple of seconds, and then Kofi coming back and saying, I pinned the guy that you didn't pin. I like that. That was something different, and I like that. But I don't know, it's just like Raw, it's just like we don't know what to do. They have enough talent to switch things around, but for some reason, we're going to keep getting it over and over again. And all we're going to get now that we like this whole Drew McIntyre versus Kofi Kingston, now we're going to get Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston as a tag team going against Shelton Benjamin or something like Shelton. Well, I was about to say Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, but they're no longer a tag team. But we're gonna get something along those lines. Now they're gonna be teamed up together, and now they're going to be in a fatal 4-way match, and now they're gonna be 1-on-1. Except this time it's a DQ, and now we're coming across Hell in a Cell, and I have no idea where we're gonna go from here as far as with the Hell in a Cell. I am very shocked that we're getting this now. I'm going to assume it's because, WWE has their own plans and they don't want it to get messed up with the live crowd. Because I forgot who said it, and I either read it or heard it, and it makes complete sense. But WWE, they create their show for the viewers at home, not for the people who are in the arena. The people who are in the arena are basically a studio audience, as if this is a sitcom. And once I read that, I said it makes perfect sense. They hate the fact that there are live crowds. I mean, probably the only reason why they want live crowds back is so that they can get the money from the tickets. But other than that, if they can just have the crowd, just sit there and they can pipe in the sound like they used to, they'll be perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine. So going into NXT, I didn't watch too much NXT, but that promo though versus Karrion Kross and Adam Cole, whew, whoa. Now of course between Karrion Kross and Adam Cole, it feels like Karrion Kross is going to completely destroy Adam Cole. However, now we get a unique situation where it's, I think it's a fatal 5-way match between Cole. Oh, I forgot who it was. It was Cole, Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, and Pete Dunne. And it's a fatal 5-way match for the title. So Karrion Kross is in it as well. Which, for In Your House Takeover, I'm all for that. It kind of feels like, we're getting to the situation where Karrion Kross may lose the title without actually losing the title. Which I kind of don't mind, but, it's very interesting to see who will win the title out of that match. What else we had? That's pretty much all I remember from NXT. And I need to watch some more NXT. I definitely should. I didn't check out AEW Dynamite last Friday. I'm not going to check it out this Friday. I know it got moved because of the playoffs, which shout out to my Sixers making it into the next round. And yes, I am slightly jumping on the bandwagon because I haven't watched the Sixers all year round, but now that they're in the playoffs, I am part of the squad now. But no, I haven't really gotten into basketball since Allen Iverson as a Sixers fan, so that really tells you how long it's been since I really watched basketball. Like, I'll just listen to the highlights on the news or something like that. But and I probably won't really catch a game like that right now anyway. But shout out to my Sixers for making it into another round. I'm a bigger Phillies fan. I like going to the baseball games. Football. As you probably know, I'm a Cowboys fan, and it'll be a day in hell before I go willingly to a Cowboys versus Eagles game in Philadelphia. And if you don't know why, it's because some Eagles fans are just not civilized. So, they like to throw popcorn. They love to throw beer, curse and stuff like that. Pretty much everything that you hear on TV is true. But yeah, as far as, it's a lot going on this week. I hope everyone is doing good out there. You know, the pandemic is slowly ending. We are now back to live crowds with AEW. Live crowds are coming back in July for WWE. They are now back on the road again. I saw that they're coming back to Philly. I don't know. It depends on what it is. If it's SmackDown, I'm going. I'm gonna go. Because you have to acknowledge the Tribal Chief. You have to see the Tribal Chief in person at least once. I done seen Roman Reigns so many damn times. I would love to see the Tribal Chief live. Especially if it's a pay-per-view. If it's a pay-per-view, I more likely will go. I can't wait for AEW to come to Philly. I was supposed to go to the show when they came to Philly, I think the second time, but then the pandemic hit, and that was that. So I'm willing to go to AEW once it comes around again. Here in Philly, things have been lifted. The baseball games are at full capacity. The Sixers games is at full capacity and everything. And, you know, I'm just glad that this is all over. Now, thanks to the pandemic, I am now permanently work from home type of girl. And so I don't have to worry about leaving my house early in the morning and coming home late and all the other stuff. And, you know, working from home has its perks, you know, you can turn around and just, when it's time for lunch, I can just turn on my PlayStation and play some video games during my lunch, which is beautiful. However, if you are one of those people who have to leave out for work, God bless you. I will pray for you. I know that struggle and I don't want it. But I'm hoping wherever you are safe, you're healthy, you are, you know, enjoying life right now, or, you know, or if it's not as fun for you right now, that it will get there. I really hope so. But that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give a few shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast on TurnOfMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin Hafiz over at Clark Street Wrestling as well. And then I like to do special shout outs each episode. And I'm shouting out the Circle of Debate Podcast. They had an episode this past week, and it was like a round table with a lot of other podcasters as well. And of course I'm trying to pull up the whole thing so I can actually read the info. But anyway, of course it's not working. But it was a round table that they did of talking about Double or Nothing, and I was sitting there cracking up. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm working, you know, because I don't have to like listen to other people talk. Here it is. But they were joined by George McKay from Straight Talk Wrestling, Kyle from Joe Phone the Ring Podcast, Kofi Winston from Dirty Heels, Devin, aka the Tribal Chief of Podcasting, which I think is hilarious, from Clark Street Wrestling, as they talked about the AEW Double or Nothing. So definitely check out that podcast as well. Coming up next week, we are going to have another week of Raw, NXT, Double or Nothing, which I don't know if it's back on Wednesdays next week. Who knows? Because of the NBA playoffs. If it's on Wednesday, I'll check it out. But I don't know about checking it out Fridays at 10 o'clock. I might just catch the Cliff Notes or something. But we're getting closer to Hell in a Cell. We're getting closer to NXT in your house and everything. So I'll be doing more reviews. You can hop on Twitter and follow me at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDE Talks. You can find the podcast at WrestleBread on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcast as well. Leave a review. Let me know your thoughts of AEW Double or Nothing. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Did you have fun watching Homelander, aka Cody Rhodes, aka Triple H Jr., strutting his stuff? And how do you feel about, the releases with Braun Strowman being released and Ruby Riott and Aleister Black, who they all spoke about, their time with WWE. Some of them are looking forward to the future. They're all thankful for what has happened. Of course, people are now going to, put in their bets in Vegas of who's going to show up at AEW in time for All Out. So, if somebody's getting picked up from this group of people, they'll more likely show up at All Out. So we'll see what happens all the way in, September 5th, I think it is this year. So thank you so much for listening. If you're listening live on Mixlr, thank you so much. Shout out to everyone listening. And until next time, guys, peace.